guys, it's Cavin with a wedding photographer and bridal boutique owner based in San Diego, and today I'm going to be talking all about what you should bring your wedding photographer to use in all of your wedding flatlays. First of all, what the heck is a flatlay? A flatlay is typically, in terms of photography, any sort of photo that is taken from a top-down view. So that's a flatlay. And flatlays oftentimes in weddings are seen in the form of invitation suite photos or of your wedding details, so like your jewelry, your shoes, things like that. And so I actually had a person request this video, so what should I bring my photographer to use in the flatlays? And I thought that that was a really great question. And so if this is something that interests you, if you really think that these photos are really cool and beautiful, this is definitely a video for you. If you don't care about these photos and they don't mean anything to you, then this is definitely not the video for you, but hopefully you're interested in this because I thought that this is really great. I usually let my brides know what they should bring me. It's usually not too intense, but I'm gonna give you guys today like the full list of things. You don't have to bring all of these or even any of these, but if you really wanted to get inspired and know what to bring, a lot of these you probably already have or already bringing. So really it's more in terms of like what to put together and have neatly all in one place ready to go for your photographer. And then also too, if your photographer is not somebody who is really like hardcore into flatlays and has a styling kit like I do and a bunch of boards that I take that have different colors and fabrics that I match to the couple's wedding like palette, then maybe they need a little help with this, and so you can have your flatlays look a little bit better by giving them these items and letting them know what's special and what to photograph. So this really is a great video to watch for photographers or brides and grooms so that you guys will get a little bit more out of your flatlay photos. Most of my weddings these days are typically bride and groom weddings, so I'm just gonna illustrate the example. So I am typically in the bride's room because that's where most of the fun and the details are happening. So I will tell my brides to have all 3 rings, so the engagement ring and both wedding bands with the bride, and so I can shoot all of them and then somebody will give them to the best man to store until the ceremony. So that's what I want so that I can make sure that I as the main photographer am getting to shoot them all in all of my flatlays and then getting cool close-ups of the rings, and then somebody else can go take them to the best man when I'm done with them. So that's what I want. I want all 3 rings there. And then I also want them to be clean. So this is a really huge thing. Make sure to clean your rings. Even if you're not doing flatlay photos, make sure to clean your rings before the wedding so that if they're in any photos at all, they're nice, clean, and sparkly. There's nothing sadder than a really, really dirty ring in pictures because it's not going to shine, it's not going to sparkle. Does not matter what kind of stone it is, make sure it is clean. That is such an important detail for your wedding photos. Like during the whole day, you want it to sparkle and look beautiful. All right, so the next thing is going to be ring boxes. If you are going to invest in a ring box for the wedding or for your life or whatever, something pretty, make sure if you are doing it for the wedding day itself that it is something that is going to complement or match the wedding aesthetic or the color palette. So there's lots of different places you can choose from. The Mrs. Box is a really popular company, but they are very expensive. I own a lot of them. I usually stock up on them on Black Friday. I get the 5-pack, which already is a little bit discounted, and then on Black Friday it gets an even bigger discount. So I have a ton of them because I usually bring a couple that match my couple's color palettes on the wedding day so that I can shoot multiple rings in them. My couples usually also bring a wedding box. There's some you can get on Etsy at much more affordable prices, but there's tons. I will actually link a blog post down below all about ring boxes from a couple different companies so you guys can go check them out. But if you are having like an ultra modern wedding day, I would not choose a rustic wooden ring box to have your rings photographed in. That just wouldn't really mesh well and it would really stand out in your wedding gallery unless it's sort of an heirloom type thing that has special meaning to you, like it's a family piece, in which case I would maybe have that but then have another ring box that goes with the wedding and just have them photographed separately. But in general, I like to have everything be cohesive within the wedding day. So if you're bringing things for your photographer, make sure that they are all cohesive with the wedding day color palette, the wedding day style, so that nothing looks too jarring in the photos. That's just a general rule of thumb. I don't typically like to break that rule because, again, everything should flow nice and beautifully and all be very intentional. So the next thing, apart from your rings, is going to be your wedding invitation suite. So that's going to be every single paper piece that you used in your wedding invitation suite. So the main invitation, any RSVP cards, envelopes that you used. If your envelopes had a liner on the inside of them, make sure that you have an envelope with that. If you are having calligraphy done, so for your envelopes, have your calligrapher make an extra envelope just for the photos, and they'll make sure to do it really pretty. Just have it addressed to yourself for the photo so it's not some random guest, or you can just tell the calligrapher to make up a fake address. That can always work. You can put your names on there in a fake address if you don't want that shown in photos. And that's something that's really nice to do, just so you have a beautiful photo of your full invitation suite, because you spent a lot of money on your invitations and you want to have a really beautiful photo of them. So that's something that's always really nice to have in pictures. And then any stamps that you were using, if my couples didn't have stamps, sometimes I will just have a loose collection of stamps, and I will pick some stamps that I have that just match their color palette. I don't adhese them, I just put them on the envelope so it doesn't look so blank, and then put them back into my collection afterwards. So that is something that I will do if they didn't bring stamps with them. Generally, again, everything needs to look nice and cohesive, so I want everything to be really beautiful and mesh and nothing to stand out and look too stark or jarring. One nice thing to bring is going to be your jewelry, anything that you're wearing on the day of the wedding. So you already have your rings in there, but if you're wearing any necklaces, bracelets, obviously your shoes, any hair accessories. A lot of times I'll tell my brides to gather everything that they're wearing on the day of, but they'll leave out their hair stuff because they have it over next to their hairstylist to put in their hair. But I want that stuff for the photos, and then they can come get it after I'm done photographing it. So make sure that you're giving your photographer every single thing that you're wearing. You don't need to give them your underwear, but just give them all the stuff that you're wearing that's really beautiful, and then they can photograph it, and then you can send someone to fetch it when you need it once they're done photographing it. So just send everything. And then if you have any family heirlooms, so say you have a locket that has a picture of your grandparents that's going to be wrapped around your bouquet and it hasn't been wrapped yet, send that for the photos. Or if there's a handkerchief that's really special, send that, and then tell your photographer about anything that's special like that, especially if it doesn't look particularly photogenic. Let them know, hey, I've included this special handkerchief from my grandma. Like, you might not have realized that it's special because it looks a little plain, but that's what it's in there, and I would love to have that photograph. Because sometimes there's little things that you might include that don't look particularly like stand outish, or they don't look super photogenic, and they're maybe a little bit more subtle or a little bit more plain, but they have special meaning. So sometimes it's nice to let the photographer know that you put something like that in their little pile, because otherwise they might not know to photograph it, or they might not know that that was something special, so they might not include it in the little flat lay, or maybe they'll just get a standalone photo of it knowing that it's really special. So just let them know if you're including something that has personal meaning, so they definitely make sure to get a photo of it. Another thing to include would be a welcome gift. So if you had a hotel and everybody was checking in and you gave welcome gifts to your guest, leave one aside for your photographer, leave it unopened so that they can get a picture of it unopened, and then they can open it up and style it all cool and fun so that they can show all the elements inside of it. Especially if you're wanting to get your wedding published, blogs love to see it styled and unstyled so that they can get an idea of what you gave to your guest. So that's a really cool thing to have in your flat lays as well. Now, I did mention having all of these things in a nice, neat little area. So before your photographer arrives, make sure that you have everything that you're bringing for the flat lay all put together, so that when your photographer arrives, they're not searching for it, wasting valuable time that you've paid for, and then they have everything ready to go. So when they show up, they say hi to you, you can go get it, or you can send someone to go show them where it is so that they can just grab those items and immediately start photographing, so that they're not wasting any of their valuable time that you have paid for, and they can just start immediately photographing your details. Now, in terms of timing, definitely understand that styling flat lays and doing detailed photos takes time. They can't just throw all of these beautiful photos together in 2 seconds. If they're telling you they need an hour to do all of these shots, definitely give them an hour. I typically request that I have about an hour to do these detail shots, sometimes more if I know there's a ton of stuff going on. And that's the time that I need to make sure that I can style all this stuff beautifully and just have the time I need to take in order to get these beautiful shots for my couples, because I know it's a priority for them. And again, you don't want to just throw this stuff together, because styling these pieces does take time, especially if you've got a huge invitation suite, or if you have multiple details, or if it's a wedding with 2 brides, and so there's double the jewelry, double the details, double the dresses. You're gonna have a lot more stuff going on. So if I have a wedding with 2 brides, I usually request about an hour and a half for these kinds of detail shots, because I need more time. If I have a wedding with 2 grooms, there's a lot less details usually, because there's a lot less jewelry going on for the most part. And then usually with tuxes, I don't need the tux hanging photos. There's just a lot less stuff going on, so I don't need as much time. Usually an hour is plenty, usually 45 minutes is great. So it really just depends on the logistics of the wedding. So whatever your photographer says they need in the timeline for these details, they usually know best. So just understand that they've done this a lot of times, so whatever they need, just definitely give them. And then if you really want to go super intense with this, like if you just love these flat lay photos and you want to take it to the next level, one thing you can do is that you can ask your photographer if they would like to have, so say you're renting some linens for your weddings that are different colors. If you want to rent an extra linen just for them to have as a styling board or a surface to put all these things on, so that the background is going to match your reception table linens, that would be the most amazing thing that you could possibly do. If you're just getting white linens, don't bother with this, don't go crazy for this. But if you're getting like a pink linen or something with a print, oh my goodness, how that photographer would love you. If you had one rented and ready in the room for them, that would be the most amazing thing ever. So that would take it to the next level for sure. If you are renting specialty plates for your wedding reception, like they're different colors, if you had some of those in the room so they could incorporate little like bread plates with your jewelry and something like that, that would be amazing. And this is by no means expected, required, whatever, but if you really wanted to take this to the next level and something like getting published was super important to you, or even just having really cool, unique, incredible, like over the top, super extra flat lays was just top priority for you, this is something that you could arrange with your rental company or even your planner. And this is something that I would actually do with the planner. Like I will go seek out the planner and we will do this together. But if my bride was actually in on this and helping me do this, I would love her to death for taking this off my plate for me. You could do something like that. Like this would just be so cool to have my bride helping me with this. If I knew my bride like love this as much as I did. But that's just something else that you could do if you were really into this and wanted to just have like all the stops pulled out for your flat lay photos. Any other things that you can think of, like if you had like custom name cards done for your reception tables, anything you want to have in that room, even if your photographer doesn't use all of it, you can always have it in there. Definitely let them know if there's certain things that are must-have in your flat lays or if there's just extras. I will show up, sometimes my brides will have tons of stuff for me to play with. They'll say, you don't have to use it all, but here's just a bunch of fun props. And I will say, thank you so much. And I will just use what I need. Sometimes I don't need it all. Sometimes I use every single piece, but definitely have fun with it. Get creative. If you find little texture things like little confetti or fun stuff like that, you can always bring it and your photographer can use it. Again, I think the key thing here is to make sure that it matches your wedding and that it's cohesive so that nothing looks out of place. And when you're looking at your wedding photo gallery, it all makes sense and it all looks very intentional. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you have fun with your wedding flat lays and that you love your photos of how they turn out. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.